Hello, and welcome back to History Videos for Kids. Today, we are going to be talking about the Industrial Revolution. Life in the 1700s was hard. Everything we take for granted these days was something that people had to work hard for. Bread is a good example. You can just go to the store and buy a bag of bread. You probably think nothing of it. Back in those days, people had to first plant wheat. Then they had to keep the fields fertile. Then they harvested it. They also ground it. And then they finally had to make it. They also had to slice it. They also had to figure out how to store it so that it wouldn't spoil. They had to do this all without refrigeration. Everything they did resulted from a lot of hard work. They were smart though. They used the water and the wind to make their way of life a little bit easier. One beautiful day in 1769, people took yet another step towards modernization. A man called James Watt accomplished a spectacular thing. He had finally made an invention more efficient. The invention was titled the steam engine. He came up with a more efficient way to use less fuel. This made life easier for so many people. While this changed the West, people still had to dig for coal in order to keep the steam engines going. This was tedious work. It was also very dangerous. The coal mines did not have a lot of oxygen in them. Sometimes a miner would be working, but he would accidentally go into a part of the cave that had no oxygen. They would die before they even had a chance of getting out. Miners referred to this as choke damp. There was nothing the miners feared more than what they called fire damp. Miners would be digging and a gas called methane would get trapped in the coal and would then explode. There were so many ways a miner could die. It was terrible. Women and children also had to help. They carried loads of coal out of the caves, and children would open and close doors to circulate oxygen throughout the tunnels. While all of this was happening in England, America started using the new technology to use something called the cotton gin. America's cotton production was very impressive. Cotton was used for several things. Thousands of cotton plants would be planted, and after it had grown, slaves would have to pick it. The only problem was that cotton was very painful to pick. It had seeds with very sharp hooks, just waiting to poke the fingers of the slaves. One boy saw how much the slaves struggled. His name was Eli Whitney. He loved inventing things to help people and solve problems. He started experimenting. He took a piece of metal and put sharp teeth on it. He added a handle, and then he took some cotton and started turning the handle. Around and around it went, pulling the seeds out at a very quick speed. Eli also wanted to make guns more efficient. For decades, guns were handmade. The pieces on that gun would fit no other gun. If an unlucky soldier somehow broke a part on his gun, it could no longer be used. No other piece would fit it. Eli came up with a solution, and he gathered with many officials asking them to put a gun together using his new parts. To the officials' delight, everything smoothly came together. They loved his invention so much that they asked him to build a gun factory. Eli had made what we call interchangeable parts. This started the making of many interchangeable parts for many things besides guns. The many inventions that happened during the Industrial Revolution changed history forever. That's all for now. We hope you enjoyed this skit. See you next time.